Hey there, YouTube folks. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, and 3 cameras running to record this video. And what I'm doing actually is testing out an Anker C200 PowerConf webcam. So the folks at Anker were kind enough to send this to me. They're not paying me for it. They're not. I don't know if I even get to keep this thing, but they sent it to me to review for my channel. And so I thought it'd be an interesting comparison of the C920 Logitech camera that I do have, the iPhone 13 that I'm using with Reincubate Software's Camo software, and just see how all three compare in what I use here in my office with some natural lighting, or a light overhead, a bit of a natural light window in front of me, and yeah, see how they compare. So before you can use it, even though I am actually already using it, I'm just going to show you how it looked coming out of the box. So you can see it came in a nice little box, and nothing too fancy with that. Very well packaged. Had a little difficulty getting the box open and apart, possibly due to my weak, feeble hands. Eventually I did get it though, I think. There we go. There's the AnkerWorks Software disclaimer that you need to go download if you want to be able to adjust settings on the camera. There's the manual. I didn't open this part because I skipped the manual. Nice little USB-A cable. Not too long, but long enough that it worked for my situation anyways. But nice that there's a separate cable so you can use a longer cable if you preferred. And then the plastic wrapping to keep everything looking nice that I fumbled around with a bit. Let's speed this up. There we go. You can see the nice little foot, or whatever they call that for the cameras. Some nice padding on there to keep it firm and stuck to whatever you put it to. And me trying to show off the USB connector in the camera, the privacy shield, and the switch works really well. Very easy to tell that it's off, obviously. It's a little bit, I guess, I'm colorblind, so I think that's a red dot, which usually signifies that something's recording. So don't get thrown off by that. But otherwise, it's very firm. It feels strong. It's not like a flimsy little clip. And then just show how it compares the mounting of my C920, Logitech C920 camera that I've had for a number of years. Don't mind the dust. And then how that compares with mounting the Anker C200 camera on. Didn't feel as tight as the C920, but it definitely didn't feel like it was going to fall off by any means because it doesn't have as much to support. So easier to set up and position, I would say, than the C920. So as you can see, I've got my iPhone 13 Pro is a little off to the side, so it's not actually ideal sort of comparison of apples to apples, if that works. But Logitech C920 is like almost a 10-year-old camera, I think, at this point. It's very old anyways. I've actually been thinking about getting a new camera just because I was wanting to do up my streaming capabilities a bit. I like using the iPhone 13 with Camo to be able to stream and things like that, but it does add complexity in terms of having to configure and set up my phone. It's my only phone. I don't have a bunch of iPhone devices to use as cameras or iPads or whatever. So the C200 from Anker definitely seems like a nice option for upping my streaming quality without having to break the bank. So far, I've been using it just with the built-in like Mac OS stock drivers and things like that. They do have some software that they recommend using, and so I'm just going to try downloading that now and see how that works. Accept, and of course it wants camera access. Let's upgrade the firmware. This might mess with the recording. I better stop the recording just to make sure. So we'll all judge this together. I guess you're judging it as you're watching this. Just as an explainer, I guess there's just one overhead light here. There's a window in front of me that has some blinds on it that I've got closed. I'll open those in a bit just to see how that compares. I'll try turning off the lights, maybe even just to see a little bit lower light and how that compares. And so let's just quickly run through what we've got here. I'm not going to log in for now, but just your basic software settings there. Probably some dials for, okay, so we can go up to 2K. Oh, this is where I was wondering. So we can go out to 65, down to 65 degree focused, 78 degree, and 95. The bit of shake that you see is my desk. It's a sit-stand desk, and then the monitor shaking. And then your basic device information, serial number. Let's see. I always hate messing with these things because then I think I don't know what I'm actually looking at and whether it's any good or not. So just to see, you can dial down the saturation, get rid of all colors. Dialing up the contrast. You can see it doing a little bit of movement for focusing. Oh, and there's a mic built in, omnidirectional and a directional pickup, which if you're using this for a podcast or webcam or like a Zoom call, anything like that, definitely would recommend putting it in directional pickup, assuming you're... Okay, so you can see that killed the camera for some reason. I don't know if that's normal. It might be a bug because I'm using ScreenFlow to record all of this, and that's possibly what's going on as well. Ideally, the camera would still stay alive even though you're switching mic modes. But what I was saying is I would recommend keeping it in directional mode if it's just you in a room talking to a camera. Omnidirectional, which you can see like 180 degree, like sort of spin out from the front of the camera, you would want to use if maybe it was a group call that you were on, or maybe you were standing back from the computer or back from the camera and wanting to, maybe you're doing a demo, a cooking show or something, and you're sort of moving around. But just as the names imply, directional is going to be like straight on with the camera, and omnidirectional is around the front of the camera. If you're behind the camera, it's not going to pick up as much. And so that's where, again, keeping it in the directional pickup mode for most people's use cases is probably going to be your best bet. I'm not really going to test that much because here on my channel anyways, and for podcasters, I just don't trust any sort of webcam microphone to be able to do a good job or as good a job as some sort of USB microphone that's going to be in your face. They're great for like Zoom calls, things like that. I think that's fine. Saves you a lot of complexity in terms of setting up a microphone. But if you're going to doing any sort of live streaming, podcast recording, video production work or whatever, do not rely on a webcam's audio. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, like I said, we can change the resolution, we can change the angle in the frame, and so that's some good to have those options in the software, obviously, and especially that compared to Logitech's camera, which again is quite old at this point, but the software for that is very difficult to come by, not as easily supported as Apple updates the operating systems and things like that. One little issue I just realized is that because I had the software running, and again, this might be just because I'm doing screen recordings and all sorts of complicated audio capturing, but because I had the software for Anker running, and then when I quit that, it actually quit the camera's ability or ScreenFlow's ability to record the camera. So that camera I lost as soon as I started doing other tests. So something to be aware of, I guess, if you're configuring it, maybe for a Zoom call, you quit the software, then Zoom might not be able to find the camera and you might have to just restart Zoom or restart a recording if you're using it for a recording. So I probably wouldn't use the software ongoing. I'd set it and forget it mostly, but your mileage may vary. So for now, let's do some quick light tests, just as best as I can do it here in my office, and see how the various cameras perform. So first of all, let's do darkness. So not very dark, obviously, as best as I can do here. It's 11:30 or so in the afternoon or morning, and you won't get too much darker than this as far as what I can do. But just to show you how the C920, the C200, and the iPhone 13 all perform in slightly lower light situations. Now let's go for super bright. So this is with window fully open. Like I said, it's about 11:30 and sun isn't like directly pouring into the window. That's not a video, but pretty close. And so I would definitely not work with it this wide open and white and bright. But this gives you an idea, I guess, of how the cameras would perform in higher, brighter light scenarios as well. Yeah, again, I can't see them right now, so I'll watch it back and edit. Not a professional hardware reviewer person, as you can tell. All right, let's go back to normal. Okay, so this is about where I'd normally have my office set up in terms of lighting and windows and whatever. My initial impressions of the C200 are Just from a hardware standpoint, it's nice that it's small, compact, just a barrel. Like basically the camera view or camera itself is all that takes up in terms of hardware space, especially as compared to the C920, which had sort of like a speakery microphone look that's wider and took up a lot more space over the top of the monitor. And I like the privacy shield option that you can turn that on and off if you want to, for those who are privacy inclined. And yeah, and the compactness, the fact that the cable comes off the back, as I showed in the unboxing video, you know, that you can replace that cable, get a longer cable if you want to. That's a very nice option to have that again, the C920 didn't have. And just even being that little bit higher resolution options, I think makes it a worthwhile upgrade from the C920 if you're looking for a newer camera like I am. And we'll see how it compares, I guess, if I ever get other cameras to compare it to, but these are the ones I have for now. I didn't bother testing my MacBook Pro built-in FaceTime camera because they're better than they used to be, but they're still not going to be as good as a dedicated lens, unfortunately. Sorry to any Apple fanboys out there, but I just don't think that they can work that well. Having the option for it with a built-in microphone in a webcam is great. Again, in a pinch, if you're traveling maybe and you just need to throw it on and use that in the wide spectrum microphone mode to be able to record an interview with somebody that you're just literally happen to have an opportunity for in that moment, that's a great option to have, and appreciate them investing in the development and production of that kind of audio quality. All right, as you can tell, not a professional reviewer by any means, so if there's anything I've left out that you'd love to hear about, feel free to throw it in the comments below. I'd love to try and do another video if I can, and if I have the camera for longer, and follow along for more tips and tricks on audio production work for podcasts and video and live streaming, and hobbyist person here like maybe yourself, or if there's questions you have about things like Audio Hijack, and there's a new version of Audio Hijack that just launched that I want to get a video out for as well, and a bunch of other fun stuff. So feel free to follow along if that interests you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.